Welcome to CA Sri Lanka BL6 webinar series. So this is the second time I am doing this webinar series. If you look at previous webinar series, you can see out of all chapters, most important significant chapters I have gone through with you. So this time I am focusing on the rest of the chapters as well as MCQ questions relating to each and every chapter. So at the end of the journey, we will see whether we have covered all the chapters relating to BL6 subject and whether we have completed enough MCQ questions to pass this exam. So that assessment we can do at the end. The plan is to cover the rest of the chapters and MCQ questions relating to those chapters, and finally we will have two mock exam papers I will discuss with you. With that, I believe I can improve your self-confidence to pass this exam. Before we start webinar series for this particular subject, I would like to give you some advice. Some of you think those are not relevant for us. What is important for me? The content of the session or chapter. That is what is important for me to pass this exam. Yes, that is what is the most important part that I should cover during this webinar. But I firmly believe most of you are still don't understand the gravity of or the difficulty of managing MCQ questions. If you are thinking MCQ papers are much more easier than written exam papers, you are in completely opposite side of my opinion. For me, MCQ is the most difficult exam format. Why I am saying like that? If you look at this slide, what are the rules to pass this exam? Right? When I take you through these rules, each and every two rules, you will understand මේක ලියන්න තිබ්බ පේපරයක් වුණා නම් හොඳයි කියලා. You will come to that conclusion. I'll tell you why. Look at number one rule to pass this exam. Don't take it easy. Half studies are more dangerous. So earlier, when it was written based exam, written paper, you can analyze past papers and see what are the important chapters that you need to go through this time. So what are the most important chapters I should study well? And some chapters, if you look at more important chapters, and every time you can see a question. Every time you can see a question. For those you have to pay much more attention. And some chapters are not that much important, even though examiner is testing, you can manage those, or if you are not in a position to answer those, the impact to pass this exam is very low. Because those are rarely testing, even though they have tested, sometimes low marks will be given compared to other chapters. But in MCQ, you can't put that weightage to each and every chapter, of course, because if it is from easy chapter, easy topic, 2 marks will be given for MCQ question. If it is difficult question, from difficult chapter, same marks will be given. Right? Therefore, now you can't prioritize, these are important, these are less important. All the topics are equally important, but for study purpose, I know you have to put some weightage, that I understand, but half-year studies are more dangerous. That's what the message I want to give you. You must understand end to end, right? Before this MCQ format come into exam. So how do we structure this webinar series? By focusing on the important chapters. For less important chapters, we are not covering those actually. But right now, no. So as a lecturer, I have to go through your chapters from starting to end, right? Carefully I study for you to give this knowledge, right? That's why sometimes nowadays my webinar series are much more detailed. So any question, everything is possible. Right? Detail. No, we have to go into that detail. MCQ, that's why. A to Z studies are more important, right? A to Z should study. Anything can be tested. Need to be smart, which means sometimes answers, there are 4 answers, no? 4 answers. Examiner will give you some answers. Those answers also you will end up with those answers also because of the small mistake that you are doing. If you do a small mistake, you will end up with that answer. That answer also will be there in the answer list, but which is not the correct answer. While having perfect answer, some answers are there. Those answers also will be arise because of the small mistake that you can do. Therefore, you have to be smart. If you know the subject properly, right, without spending the given time, you can quickly understand, right, this is the answer and these are not correct. And if you don't know the answer, still don't worry. What a logical is right? For you to do that, you have to be smart. I will tell you how you should maintain that smart attitude. Whether it's MCQ or not, don't wait till the last moment. Now you have 1.5 months to the exam, right? So don't wait till now itself you have to start studies. Now you are too late, but at least now if start, you can do something. You can pass this exam. Don't wait till 1 week last moment, which means don't start your studies 1 week prior to the exam. Try more questions. So during this webinar and the last webinar series, if you look at, I am giving you more ACCA questions. Your paper is equal to F2 paper in ACCA. So there are a lot of questions if you Google for the subject F2 ACCA. Take question from that format and practice. Right? This is your competitor ACCA. Right? Take past papers from there, model papers from there, and try more questions. Adapt to the change in environment. Earlier you had physical classes and you can talk to your lecturers. Now the entire that environment has been changed with this COVID era. Virtual studies you have. If you go to YouTube, if you type the subject name, if you go to CS Sri Lanka YouTube channel, you can see a lot of webinar series related to each and every subject. So you can refer those. You have to adapt to those changes. Very convenient nowadays. And finally, after all these things, you must have your self-confidence to pass this exam. So if you have these rules, if you are in line with these rules, even winning the prize is not a big deal. Right? So think about these rules. If you are far away from these rules, please think about it twice. During the exam, there are some little instructions that I want to give you. Look at this exam. advisors. If you have honestly done your revision, you can pass this exam. Which means if you, after all this theory, if you have done good revision, you can pass this exam. There are a couple of points to be bear in mind. කාරණා දෙකක් ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න ඕනේ. What are they? Read the question properly. Don't be hurried to select answers. Read the question properly. හොඳට කියවන්න question එක. And understand what is the examiner's requirement. What you should tell your examiner. Right? Don't spend more than allotted time on each question. If you are having trouble with the question, leave it and carry on. You can come back to it at the end. There are 50 questions. Let's say some of the questions from question number 1 to 50 when you read, some of them are easy, some of them are difficult. If you have difficult questions, don't invest much more time on those questions. Leave it. Continue with these questions. So after completing the easy questions, come back to those questions and see whether you can manage it or not. Otherwise, if you spend more than the allocated time for difficult questions, sometimes at the end, easy questions also you will be complicating by yourself. අපිට අමාරු ප්‍රශ්න වල එළිය ගෙනියනකොම ටයිම් එක ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරයි. ටයිම් එක ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරයි කියලා තේරුණාම පස්සේ ලේසි question උත් මග අර ගන්නවා. එහෙම වෙනවා. Therefore, try easy questions first, then come to difficult questions. Those two you have to bear in your mind. When you tackle MCQ questions, there are few steps, 6 steps. Steps 6ක් තියෙනවා. මේ 6 හොඳට ලු දාගන්න. More than all other sessions, these 6 steps are much more important. මේ 6 දිගේම යා යුතුයි. ඒකයි මම කිව්වේ more than the theory or the topics or the coverage of the content of the chapters, right? මොනවද මේ කරන්න යන්නේ, මොනවද මේ chapter එකේ තියෙන in and out ඒවා දැනගන්න කලින් look at this. මොකද අවසාන කරන්න යන්නේ මේක. How do you manage MCQ questions? Number 1 step. Skim, read all the MCQ and identify what appears to be easy questions. පොඩ පීනලා ටක් ගාලා go through කරලා බලන්න paper එකේ මොනවද lazy questions තියෙන්නේ. Right? මොනවද lazy questions? පොඩක් ගිහලා බලන්න. Question number step 2, right? පළවෙනි එක skim කරා පොඩ පීනලා අර එහෙම කරලා බැලුවා, right? ඔලුවට දාගත්තා මොන වගේ paper එකක්ද? Don't invest 1 hour to do that quickly. Second, attempt each question, start with the easy question. Now you understand what are the easy question. Attend those questions, start with the easier question. Identified in step 1, step by step. පළවෙනි එක අඳුරගත්තා මේවා තමයි lazy questions. යන්න lazy questions වලට පටන් ගන්න ඒ වගේ. Read the question thoroughly. හොඳට කියවන්න question එක. And you may prefer to work out answers before looking at the options. Sometimes there are two ways of doing MCQ questions. Some of you prefer to read answers and go to question. Some of you prefer to read question and come back to answers. Both way, okay, that's your convenient, right? Before taking the questions, or you may prefer looking at the options, which means answers at the beginning, and adopting the method you work. Adopt the method that work best for you. කොහොමද ගන්නේ? I can't give you advice on that. Some of you prefer to read answers and go to questions. Some of you prefer to read question and come back to the answers. Both way okay. But what you should understand, what is convenient for you. Adapt to that. Right? Right. Easy question in පටන් ගත්තා. Step 3. Read the options and see one matches your answer. Option 4 කියවලා බලන්න මොකක්ද ඔයාලට match වෙන answer එක. Be careful with numerical questions as distractor are designed to match answers that incorporate common errors. අමන් කිව්වේ when you do some calculations there are common errors that all of you can do. A common errors reflect වෙන විදිහට තමයි answer එක තියෙන්නේ. Therefore be careful ඒ common error එකක් කරලා ඔයා answer list එක බලපුවම right ඒක answer එකක් විදිහට තියෙනවා. So there's a possibility of selecting that. Therefore be careful, right? Have you followed the requirement exactly? If yes, have you included every stage of the calculation? බලන්න ඔයාගේ stage තියෙනවා calculation එක කරොත්. ඒ stage follow කරලා තියෙනවද one by one? Right? Because you have to be careful because ඒක written exam එකේ steps ටික බලලා exam එකට අවසාන උත්තරේ මෙයාගේ පොඩි arithmetic calculation එකක් තියෙන but steps ටික very perfect. එහෙනම් මෙයාට ලකුණු පහක් තියෙනවා at least 3ක් අපි දෙන්න ඕනේ. You will think in that way but here the examiner doesn't know whether you have followed correct steps, correct formats, nothing. Answer එක දුන්නොත් දුන්න එච්චරයි. Right? Therefore be careful. Step 4. You may find that none of the options matches your answer. ඔයාගේ answer එකට එක option එකක් match වෙන්නේ නැහැ. There are 4, let's say that question number 1, let's say once you calculate you will come up with answer. This is the answer. There are 4 options. This answer is not there in these options. What are you going to do? Right? Read the question to ensure that you understand and are the answer in requirement. එහෙම නම් බලන්න ආයෙසර ගිහලා question එක කියවන්න. ඔයාගේ calculation එකේ ආපු උත්තරේ එක option එකකවත් නැහැ. බලන්න ඔයා exam එකේ requirement එකද category number 1. ආයෙ ගිහලා හිර වෙලා ඉන්න එපා මේ calculation එක හරිද කියලා ආයෙ බලන්න යන්න එපා. පළවෙනි බලන්න ඔයා exam එකේ කියලා තියෙන දේද කරලා තියෙන්නේ. අහලා තියෙන දේද කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Estimate any obvious wrong answers. Eliminate any obvious wrong answers. දැන් මෙතන හිතන්න ඔයාගේ උත්තරේ ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ 150 කියලා අපි හිතමු. Very important guideline, right? ඔයා common mistake එකක් කරාට පස්සේ මේක ලොකුවට වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැතුව 250 එන්න ඕන එකක් 150 වෙලා let's say 100 175 200 නේ 2000 මෙහෙම answers දෙකක් තියෙනවා. let's say 1000. දැන් ඔයා දන්නවා common mistake එකක් කරත් එන්න ඕනේ මේ වගේ answer එකක් නේ. එහෙම that depends, right? But let's say I know that obviously these answers are wrong. Eliminate these things. Or sometimes minus answers are there. Definitely minus answers cannot be there. Eliminate obvious answers. So then you have to select one of these two, right? Or 50-50 again, අන්න ඒ වගේ අයින් කරලා දාන්න, right? Consider which of the remaining answers is most likely to be correct and select the option. ඔයා දන්නේම නැත්තම් මේ දෙකම මොකක්ද කියලා. Most likely what will be correct? මේක වගේ හිතනවා. එහෙනම් මේක select කරන්න. ඒ වාගේ option වාට ගැලපෙන්නේ නැත්තම් වාගේ answer එකත් එක්ක. නැත්නම් ඔයා භාගයට දන්නවනම් හැබැයි obviously මේ 3යි 4යි කියන එක වැරදි කියලා දන්නවා 1යි 2යි අතර තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. most likely what is correct. එහෙම නැතුව නිකන් මේක හරියයි කියලා නිකන් උඩින් ගහන්න එපා. Logically how do you tackle questions like this? මම එකයි මේ session එක important කියලා, right? Number 5 step. If you are still unsure, make a note and continue with next question. මේක තාමත් එහෙම sure නෑ. පොඩ්ඩක් කොහේ note එකක් දාගන්න, right? Question number 1 කරන්න දිනවා, go to question number 2. Right? That's how you should do. Last step. Revisit answered questions. When you come back to the questions after a break, you often find you are able to answer it correctly straight away. If you are still unsure, have a guess. You are not penalized for incorrect answers, so never leave the questions answered. Finally, revisit the entire paper. Now let's say question number 2, you can't answer, you don't know, therefore don't leave it. Right? Don't leave it. මේ වැරද්ද කරන්න එපා. මේ විදිහට ගිහිල්ලත් ඔයාලට තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයා ඉතින් හිතලා අවසානට කනා ෂොට් එකක් ගහන්න. ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ මේ. හැබැයි මේ කනා ෂොට් එක අවසානට කරන්න තියෙන එක මුලින් කරන්න එපා. That's what you need to learn. අපි එහෙමනේ කරන්නේ. හදිසියර ඔයා රයිට් මේක හරියයි කියලා ගහලා දානවා. එහෙම කරන්න බෑ. ඊට පස්සේ MCQ මොනවද MCQ papers හරි ලේසි. Completely wrong. So these are the 6 steps that you need to follow when you do what? MCQ questions. Right? Fine. Done. I think these 6 steps are important. Right? Fine. So that's about exam, how to manage your exam questions, exam paper. Few advices. With that, I am coming back to today's topic. This is, I can't remember the chapter number, but this is in volume 1 study pack. Pricing. Very important chapter. Last time we didn't go through this. Pricing means what? When you run your day-to-day business, right? Manufacturer or retailer, whoever, you are doing a business, which means you are selling product or service. Sometimes you manufacture product and or service and sell it. If it is a service, you are not manufacturing, of course. If you are a retailer, you will buy and sell it. Somehow, how do you generate revenue? By selling service or goods or service. When you sell something, there should be a price for that particular item or service. Right? How do you determine that price? How do you allocate price for a product or service? Let's say this marker pen you bought and sell it in the market. Let's say the cost was 100. Why then අනිත් මේක 100 නේ ගත්තේ මට කීයක් කවුරු තිබ්බට කවන්න 110ට උනෝ දීලා දාමු. That is how do we figure out price. So 110ට දීලා දාපුවම right. The selling price 110. So 10 whether it's enough to cover your other overhead and the cost, and is it the margin that other competitors are keeping? If you keep 10 rupees, do you satisfy yourself, which means are you in line with your return requirement? All these things matters. Therefore you can't just say ඔන්න ඔය කීයක් හරි තියාගෙන විකුණමු. That's our informal way of creating price. But there are logics. There are different ways of allocating price for a product or service. Right? Goods and services. So those methods we are going to discuss today. Right? How do we allocate price for a product? Concept of before I come to this slide, you need to understand very important powerful message. There are 2 key methods of allocating price for a product. Pricing, right? One is markup, another method is margin. Markup and the margin. Markup and the margin. One is, right, you keep some profit based on cost. Other one is you keep some profit again by keeping profit on sales. This one on cost. What do you mean by that? I am giving you a hint. If you heard the word called markup, right, or margin, this is the way you decide your profit. Sometimes some companies decide your price by keeping some profit margin on cost. දැන් තේරුණාද? To cost you add some profit and decide the price. Price means cost plus profit. I paid 100 rupees to buy this marker pen, cost, added some profit and sell it, pricing. Cost plus profit, which is called markup. Cost plus profit. Price. Price, cost plus profit. Markup. Markup කියන වචනේ ඇහුණ ගමන්ම remember, right? Always profit will be calculated keeping some margin on cost. ඒක දාගන්න. නැත්නම් අපි කරන්නේ මොකද්ද? markup එක cost එක, markup එක cost එක. එහෙම නෙවෙයි. markup කියන්නේ margin profit එක අපි allocate කරන්නේ cost එක base කරගෙන. Based on cost. Markup. Margin also a method of calculating profit. There selling price, you keep some profit on sales. Right? Here on profit on cost. Right? Here profit on sale price, selling price. Margin කියන්නේ අන්න එකයි. You keep some margin on selling price. Here profit on cost. හරිනේ පැහැදිලි. Price again cost price again cost plus profit same මොකේ වුණත් price කියලා කියන්නේ cost plus profit margin වුණත් cost plus profit දෙකම එකයි මම ලියන්න හේතුවක් එහෙම තියෙනවා right margin එකේදී markup එකේදී අපි profit එක decide කරන්නේ cost එක base කරගෙන if it is margin profit decided by based on what profit sorry price understand so this is how you decide price of a product harini price means cost plus profit always cost plus profit cost plus profit if it is markup you keep some margin on profit and decide the price cost plus profit margin right which means profit on cost here again price means cost plus profit but profit on sales price which is called margin හරිනේ මේ මං රවුන්ඩ් කරලා තියෙන මොකද්ද බේස් එක right fine මේ විදිහට මං කියන්න sales price cost of sales profit gross profit ඔහොම නෙන්නේ අපිට නේ equation එක let's say your profit margin is 20% you keep 20% profit if it is on markup right or margin අපි මේකත් ගමු මේ පැත්තට sales cost of sales and profit you are going to keep 20% margin or markup 20% profit right if this 20% on markup or 20% on margin, whatever, you know, profit equal to 20%. මොනවා වුණත් profit එක 20%. වෙන කතන්දර මොකුත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ අපිට profit එක 20%. Right? If it is markup method, I told you base is what? Cost. Which means cost is the 100 base. අපි base එක නේ කියන්නේ. base එක 100. base එකයි 100. If it is margin, base is what? Price, selling price. So then that is 100. base එක තමයි 100 කියන්නේ. 100ට 20යි කියනකොට 100 තමයි base එක. Right? This is margin. Base is the 100. 100 percentage දෙනකොට එහෙමනේ. 150 ගම base එක 100 100න් 50ක්. So if it is markup, base is cost of sales or cost. If it is margin, selling price, which means sales 100. If say cost of sales 100, sales how much? 120. 120. If sales 100, cost of sale 80%. This equation is really important when you manage exam questions. Really, really important. Right? මේක ඊටාම වැදගත්. මේක නැතුව යන්න බෑ ඉස්සරහට. pricing එකක් decide කරන්නේ cost එකට margin එකක් තියලා නම් අපි කියනවා markup method. cost plus profit. price එක කියන්නේ කොහොමද මේකනේ cost plus profit. හැබැයි profit එක decide කරන්නේ price එක decide කරන්න cost එකට margin එක add කරලා. Sometimes you will decide price based on margin, which means selling price එකකින් මෙච්චරක්වත් profit ඕනේ. So selling price is the base. Margin you keep on the selling price, but again formula equal. Price means cost plus profit. Cost plus profit කියන එක තමයි equation එක selling price එකේ. හැබැයි base එක මොකද්ද? Each and every method. That is important to understand. මම ඒක තමයි කිව්වේ. Markup නම් cost of sale, base එක නම් 100. Markup cost of sale is the base, therefore 100 is the base. 100 is cost of sale. Here selling margin means base is what? Selling price. Therefore base is what? Selling price. 100 වෙන්නේ selling price. Therefore 100 is selling price. මෙන්න මේක really important when you manage exam questions. මොකද්ද 100 වෙන්නේ? හරි සරලනේ. Markup නම් cost of sales 100. Margin නම් sales එක තමයි 100. මොකක් 100 උනත් profit එක equal 20යි. ඒකත් දෙගත්තා. මොන මෙතෙඩ් එකකට ගියත් profit එක 20 වෙන්න ඕනේ නේ. කොහෙන් ගෙත් මේ 20යි profit එක. කොහෙන් ගෙත් 20යි profit එක. මේක ඊටාම වැදගත්. ඊටාම වැදගත්. කටපාඩම් කරන්න යන්න එපා. margin markup, markup cost, margin sales. exam එකේ margin cost of sale වෙයි, markup sales වෙයි බලාගෙන. base එක යන්න ඕනේ. 100 මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ කියන එකයි වැදගත්. මෙන්න මේක යාර තමයි වැදගත්. 100 වෙන තැන ඉස්සලා අඳුර ගන්න. Right? Fine. We will continue with some questions also. Right? Look at this slide now. Cost markup. Concept of markup and margin. මේක තමයි මම explain කරේ. Concept of markup and margin. Cost markup means this is where you know the cost of the introductory product, so you can add some element of profit required to cost to the calculated price, calculated selling price. To calculate the selling price. Selling price එක ගන්න profit එකට cost එකට යමක් add කරනවා profit. Margin means which is what you would use for an established product and market price can be used to calculate the profit element to give you an target cost. Market price you can use to give target profit. තව විදිහකට මම කිව්වොත් මෙහෙමත් මතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාලට. profit එක ගන්න. profit means cost profit based on cost කියන එක දාගන්න. alright ඒක clear තියෙනවද අපිනේ? profit based on cost. ඒක හරි. sorry done. ඒක තමයි එළිය තියෙන්නේ. I did not see that properly. මේක ලියා ගන්න. මේක ඊටාම වැදගත්. done. You have a question now. Look at this. Not question, example. Profit may be expressed there as a percentage of cost of sales such as 25% markup කියන්නේ එකට or percentage of sales, right? 20%. ඒකට අපි කියනවා percentage of sales නම් margin කියලා. right? margin කියලා කියන්නේ percentage of cost. ඔක්කොම complete කරනවා. percentage of cost. right? here percentage of sales, price basically, right? done. Pricing done. Two methods. Look at this question. Read and try it till I erase this board to calculate. Right. If the profit is expressed as a percentage of sales, margin, the following formula is also useful. මං කිව්වේ selling price කියන්නේ නම් 100 base එක 100 වෙනවා, profit minus එහෙනම් cost of sale එක ඒකෙන් එනවා, right? It is the best to think of selling price as 100% if the profit is expressed as margin, as a margin. margin උන ගාම base එක sale කියලා දන්නවා. එහෙනම් sale එක 100 වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි explain කරේ. ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ logic එක. On the other hand, if profit expressed as a percentage of cost of sales, profit එකේ ඉන්න cost of sale එකේ percentage එකක් නම් markup කියලා කියනවා අපිට, right? It is the best to think that cost of sales has been 100%. එහෙනම් cost of sale එක 100 කියලා ගන්න base එක. The following example could help you to clarify this point. මොකද්ද මේ කියන්නේ? question එකක් තියෙනවා. Delila's dress sells the dress at 10% margin. margin මට ඇහුණ වචනයක් margin කියලා. margin මෙහෙම තමයි මම logic එක apply කරන්නේ. බලා ගන්න හොඳට. margin මොනවා වුණත් මගේ formula එක selling price, sale price, cost of sales, profit. right? මම මෙහෙම දාන cost of sales, right? ඔහොම නෙන්නේ, right? මට මොකක්වත් වැදගත් නැහැ මේ ෆෝමියුලා එකට දත්ත ටික දාන්න කලින් මේක දාගන්න එක තමයි ඉතාම වැදගත් මට. what is important is that මට ඇහෙනවා selling price Delila's dress sells the dress at 10% margin. මට ඇහුණ වචනයක් margin කියලා. ඒකට යන්න කලින් මගේ ෆෝමියුලා එකේ මොන වුණත් මගේ ප්‍රොෆිට් එක 10% that I know මොන වුණත් මට එන්නේ ප්‍රොෆිට් එක 10% right 10% මම මේක දන්නවා මේකට ලොජික් එකක් නැහැ මොන වුණත් percentage තමයි ප්‍රොෆිට් එක sorry මොන වුණත් percentage ප්‍රොෆිට් එක 10% මාජින් කියලා එනකම් මම දන්නවා සේල් එක තමයි බේස් එක මගේ. එහෙනම් මේක 100 මම දෙක ෆිල් කරගන්න 80%. sorry 90. 90. මේක ෆිල් කර ගැනීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි අනිවාර්යයි. දැන් බලන්න කියවලා. The dress cost the shop 1000. එක ඇඳුමක් ව්‍යාපාරයට cost වුණාලු 1000. right? The dress cost to the shop 1000. cost to the shop මෙන්න cost එක දාගත්තම. cost එක 1000 ලු. දැන් අපෙන් අහනවා required calculate the profit made by the last dress. මෙන්න මේක තමයි question mark එක අහන්න අපෙන්. right? කොහොමද මේක calculate කරන්නේ? එහෙනම් මට ඕනි I know 90 I need 10 mathematics. This 1000 equal to 90. මෙන්න 90. 1000 කියන්නේ 90. මගේ ෆෝමියුලා එකේ. I need 10. අයියෝ how simple. 10 equal 90 then give me 1000 equal 90 give me 10. Simple. 1000 divide by 90 into 10. 111.11. This is profit. දාහ කියන්නේ 90 divide by 90. ඒකෙන් බෙදපුවම එකයි එන්නේ නේ. එකකට එන percentage එන්නේ. ඒක 10න් වැඩි කරන්න. එතකොට 10 කීයද කියලා එනවා. mathematics. මේක mathematics. management accounting නෙවෙයි. අච්චරට මෙච්චර ඔච්චරද කියන්නේ. 1000ට 9 1000 කියන 9ට 10ට කීයද? 111යි. plus 1000. selling price 1111.11. This is the answer. හරි ලේසිනේ මේ ක්‍රමයට ගියපුවමනේ. step 1. මෙන්න මේ ෆෝමියුලා එක ලියා ගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා. step 1. second step put the margin or markup or whatever profit. profit එක දාගන්න percentage එක. decide the base. do the calculations. done. simple. right? දැන් ඒක apply කරන්න තව ගණන් වලට. look at this question. අන්න markup එකකින් ඇවිල්ලා එකක්. බලමු කොහොමද මේක handle කරන්න කියලා. this is also markup. but try this. right. previous are margin, this is markup. now markup. markup lu දැන් තියෙන්නේ. දැන් markup එකට එනවා. markup කියපුවම මම දන්නවා right. මොනවා වුණත් මට වැඩක් නැහැ markup the margin ද කියලා මම එහෙම හිතන්නේ. markup the margin කියලා කියන්න බලමු percentage එක දීලා තියෙනවා 15% කියලා. එහෙනම් මම දන්නවා profit එක 15%. මොනවා වුණත්. whatever method profit 15%. That's what I want to establish first. If you don't know the percentage, that will be a problem. Right? 15% කියලා දැනගත්තම මට ඇහෙන වචනයක් markup. markup නම් basis cost. This is 100 now. If you know the cost and profit, establish the selling 115 plus 100 plus 15 115. Now look at the balance part of the question, right? Trevor's sells a pair of trousers for 800. Selling price 800. Sells 800. Right? දැන් අහනවා අපෙන් calculate the profit. මෙන්න මේකයි අහන්නේ දැන්. දැන් අපෙන් අහනවා මේක. මොකක් ඇහුවොත් උත්තර දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේක දාගත්තොත්. මම කොහොමද මේ ගාන හදන්නේ? 800 is what? Base. Base එකද මොකද්ද කියලා දන්නේ දැන් base එක 100 කියලා දන්නවා but 800 equal 115. මේකේ 115යිලු. මගෙන් අහන්නේ 15. ඇත්තටම මේක percentage එකෙන් දාන්න එපා. right? වැරදි අදහසක් ගයිවා. 800 කියන්නේ 115 නම් 15 කීයද? 800 divide by 115 into 15. 104.35. 35. Cost of sale හොයලා දාන්න ඉතින්. minus 800. 695. 65. Difference. Is that right? 160, 195.65. අන්න margin markup වෙනස. හරි ලේසිනේ මේ ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එකට ගියපුවාම. margin the markup ද කියලා බැලුවා. මොකක් වුණත් profit margin එක දාගත්තා. decide කරා base එක. Here margin sale is the base. Markup cost of sale is the base. Done. How examiner can test this? Read this and try. A skirt which cost the retailer 750 is sold at profit of 25% on the selling price. 25% on the selling price is going to solve this 25% on the selling price. Right. Calculate the profit. Right? They are asking you to calculate the profit. Selling price. දැන් මෙතන ඔයාලට ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇතිනේ. margin ද markup ද මොකුත් දීලා නැත. එහෙම දීලා නැහැනේ. Skirt cost to the retail 750 is sold at 25% of the selling price. Selling price. On selling price. එහෙනම් ඔයා establish කරගන්න margin කියලා එක. margin එක එහෙනම්. selling price නා margin නේ. The base is this. Right? Here the percentage is 25%. Profit is 25%. Profit. Right? Then base එක දන්නවා නම් profit එක දන්නවා නම් මේක 85%. 75%. 75. Done. Then දාලා බලන්න. 750 is what? The skirt which cost to the retailer 750. Cost to the retailer cost 750. And I think 750 divide by 75 into 25 profit. Profit එක දාගන්න. එකක් හොයාගත්තා ඊටු එක හොයාගන්න ලේසි වෙනසනේ. 750 divide by 75 into 250. 250 1,000. The correct answer is what? They are asking profit 250. 250 කියන්නේ කොහෙද? Answer C. The correct answer is what? C. 250. Right. පොඩි දෙයක් ඉගෙන ගන්න තියෙනවා. Now if you look at answer A 187.5. දැන් මෙන්න මේකයි common errors කියලා කියන්නේ. දැන් මේ concept එක හරියට දන්නේ නැති කෙනා 750 වලින් ගහලා බලමු එහෙනම් 25%. 25%. 750 න් 25% ගහපුවම 187.25යි. 187.25. 187.25. This is also there as an what? Answer. Answer A. දැන් මේ concept එක දන්නේ නැති කෙනා ගහලා බලනවා අමාරුම කෙනා right 75 into එනවනේ උත්තරේ එක select කරනවා. Answer A. Wrong. මේවා තමයි common errors. මං කිව්වේ be careful. Right? Be careful. Done. Yes, that question also we have done. Pricing of principles of marginal costing. Pricing එක හරි දැන් pricing එක design කරන්න එක්ක margin එක්ක markup එකකින්. Sale එකේ percentage එක cost of sale එකට. Very clear. 2 questions, 3 questions we have done. Now when we decide price, it is important to understand marginal costing and absorption costing concept also. Right? Fine. Marginal costing and absorption costing is a separate chapter that we have done in previous session, if you can remember. Previous session means previous webinar series. Marginal absorption costing. Can you remember? Go back to that and recall your memory. But if I give you little insight, marginal costing means you take decisions based on variable cost. Always you decide, you take economic decisions, business decisions based on variable cost. And you ignore fixed cost in decision making because fixed cost is committed cost and sunk cost sometimes. Unavoidable. Let's say you have a education institute and you have a separate different branches. අපි හිතමු branches 5ක් විතර තියෙනවා කියලා. Right? You have 5 branches. Let's say. ඒ branches පහම තියෙන්නේ rent එකට. But now you are doing online classes. දැන් මේ ඕන කියන business එකේ now look here rent the building owner මම දැන් මේ virtual classes ටික කරන ඔයාගේ building එක මම utilize කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right? Therefore I can't pay you rent. Rent owner මොකද කියන්නේ? ඒක අවුලන්නේ එහෙනම් අතහැරලා දාමු. නෑ you have to pay them. Committed. There's agreement. Therefore, whether you earn profit or not, doesn't matter, you have to incur that fixed cost. You have to pay rent. Committed cost. Irrespective of level of business, which means you earn revenue or not, doesn't matter. Irrespective of, not earn revenue or not, irrespective of level of activity. Increase or decrease or not, to a certain level, fixed cost is fixed. Therefore, you ignore fixed cost from decision making. වැඩක් නැහැ. කොහොමත් incur කරන්න ඕනි. Right? Other method is absorption costing, which means full costing method කියලා අපි කියනවා. ඒකෙදි කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපි සම්පූර්ණ cost එකම ගන්නවා decision making වල. profit එක calculate කරද්දී. Right? Profit එක calculate කරද්දී anyway fixed cost එක ගන්නවා, but decision making වල fixed cost එක ගන්නවා, which is wrong, but I can't say wrong because there are plus and minus both. But management accountants basically use marginal costing for decision making, whereas financial accountants they use what financial statement prepared according to absorption method. Right? You absorb fixed cost also to unit of cost. මේ දෙකේ වෙනස principally ඒක මොකද්ද? marginal costing වල fixed cost එක පැත්තකින් තියෙනවා. absorption costing වල fixed cost එක absorb කරනවා unit එකේ cost එකට. ඒකට අපි කියනවා full cost කියලා. Right? මම මෙහෙම කියන්නම්කෝ. marginal costing versus absorption costing. summary එකක් මම මේ දෙන්නේ ඔයාලට. right? Here marginal costing, absorption costing. Ignore only consider all variable cost and ignore fixed cost in decision making. Here consider all cost. Therefore, we call it as full costing කියලා. Absorption costing එකට තව නමක් කියනවා full costing කියලා. Right? Since you consider only variable cost, inventory value low. Right? Inventory value low because you don't consider fixed cost in inventory valuation. Inventory value එක අඩුයි. Here inventory value high. Right? Inventory value high. Why? You absorb. Why absorb fixed cost into unit of product? Because if you absorb fixed cost into unit of product, your inventory value is high. Inventory value high in absorption costing. This is the difference between these two. Ignore fixed cost. Why? Because committed or sunk, already incurred. That's why you ignore. But here you consider full costing. L case to disallow this marginal costing. මෙන්න මේක not in line with L case 2. Inventory standard එක කියනවා no, you have to absorb inventory fixed cost also to inventory. Right? A inventory value එක low, fixed cost does not absorb. Include. Not in line with L case 2, this is in line with L case 2. L case 2. Right? There are advantages and disadvantages of marginal costing. There are advantages and disadvantages of absorption costing. Basically, management accountants use marginal costing, management account in decision making. Financial accountants will follow what? Absorption costing. This is a simple difference between these two. So go back to my previous webinar and look at the chapter or session name. You will find marginal costing and absorption costing. There you can see lot of details. Right? Fine. Go and watch it. Principles of marginal costing, the same that I have conceptualized in the board, will be there in the slide also, but let's go through that. The marginal costing philosophy is that profit measurement should be based on an analysis of total contribution. Here we are talking about total contribution. So always you take decisions based on contribution concept, right? That is sales value less variable cost of the sales. Contribution equal what? Sale value minus variable cost. Variable cost, contribution. The contribution concept we are using in what? Marginal costing. Supporters of marginal costing argues, support karna katti, argues that valuation of closing inventory should be based on variable production cost. Here, valuation of closing inventory. Closing inventory value low, why? Because fixed cost doesn't include. Which means valuation of inventory should happen based on what? Marginal costing. That's what the supporters of marginal costing argues. That's how they argue. Which means direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, if any, and variable production overhead because these are only cost properly attributable to the product, right? Because and variable production, because those are the costs properly attributable to what? The product. So they said consider only variable cost. Variable cost means what? Direct labor, direct material, direct expenses, and variable production overhead. So those are the costs that you need to consider in what? Marginal costing as variable cost. Pricing of marginal costing. What is important? Marginal costing session we are talking about pricing here. How do we decide price based on what? Marginal costing. Right? Marginal costing wala pricing we are decide karanne. Right? Look at this. Period fixed cost are the same for any volume. Which means, let me explain. Shall I erase this? Yeah. Can do, because if you want you can pause your video and take down this. The topic is what? Yeah. Marginal costing. Fixed costs are the same for any volume of sale of production provided that level of activity within the relevant range. Therefore, the selling an extra item of product or service, the following will happen. Before I read this, let me explain. Now let us say you are in 2020 and 2021 financial year. This is financial year. You run your manufacturing operation, whatever the product you manufacture, in that you have to pay rent. Rent for the building. Rent for the building, let us say 1 million. 1 million. Right, 1 million. Building rent. So this capacity of this building, you can produce maximum, let us say 10,000 or 100,000 units. Right, 100,000 units capacity, 100% capacity. So this 1 million fix from 0 to 100,000 units. Right? Between this range, this fixed cost is, this rent cost is fixed, which means if you produce 5,000, same fixed cost. If you produce 50,000, same rent. If you produce no units, this has to be paid. Even if you produce 100,000, same. If you need to produce 100,000 and 110,000, this plus, which means 1 million plus something, you are doing. Up until 100,000, this will be fixed. ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ. ඒ නැති මේක activity level එකත් එක්ක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ till you come to 100% capacity. ඒ capacity එක ඇතුලේ this is fixed. That is what you need to understand. Done. Therefore, by selling extra item of product or service will happen following. If you 0 to 100,000, if you sell extra product, right, extra product will happen this. Revenue will be increased by sales volume value of the item sold. Revenue එක වැඩි වෙනවා, right, extra with this concept sell extra product. මොනවද extra product එකක් sell කරපුවාම? Number 1, revenue increase. Revenue increase. With this concept I am explaining, right? Cost will increase by variable cost. Very important. Cost. Fixed cost will not change when activity level change within this range. 100,000 units to 0 to 100,000 units. Cost will not change. Cost, what cost will be increased? Variable cost increase, fixed cost not change. Remains unchanged. Right? Variable cost will be increased. Profit will be increased by the amount of contribution of profit එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ. Profit එක වැඩි වෙනවද? Revenue එකෙන් නෑ. Profit එක වැඩි වෙනවද? Cost total cost එකෙන් නෑ. Profit එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ revenue minus what? මේ increase වෙන මේ දෙක මේක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නෑනේ. Not change. එහෙනම් මේක අදාළ නෑ. Variable cost එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ. මේ දෙක වෙනස. Revenue එකත් වැඩි වෙනවා, cost එකත් වැඩි වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේ දෙක වෙනස අපි කියනවා contribution. Right? Fixed cost එක change. එහෙනම් profit එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ මොකෙන්ද? Will increase by amount of contribution. Profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා contribution. තේරුණානේ? ඒ contribution එක කියලා තේරුණානේ දැන් ඔයාලට? Why revenue increase? Yes. Variable cost increase. එහෙනම් increase එකේ difference එක ගන්න අන්න ඒ ගානින් වාගේ profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. ඒ වෙනසට අපි කියනවා මොකද්ද? Contribution කියලා. Because fixed cost will not change. It's remain unchanged. Simple to understand. Right? Fine. Done. Similarly, if volume of sales fall down, the profit will fall down by the contribution. Same. Let's say this happens when you sell extra product. එකක් වැඩිපුර විකුණපුවාම. එකක් අඩුවෙන් විකුණොත් less revenue will be come down, variable cost will come down, profit will come down by the contribution lost. ඒ කියන්නේ පැත්ත. Right? Simple. C. Since fixed cost relate to a product to a period of time, මෙන්න මේ අවුරුද්දේ මෙච්චර fixed cost එක till this capacity, and do not change with increases or decreases in sales volume. අඩු වුණා වැඩි වුණා කියලා fixed cost will not change. It's misleading to change unit of sales within the fixed cost. මෙන්න මේ කාරණාව නිසා what is the matter? What is the point? Your fixed cost will not change when you change your level of activity. Therefore, it is not appropriate to say this. What is? It is misleading to charge unit of sale with the share of fixed cost. එහෙනම් මේ fixed cost එක මේ sale price එකට absorb කරන එක වැරදි කියලා කියනවා. Right? It is misleading to charge unit of sale with the share of fixed cost. Unit of sale එකේ ඇතුළට fixed cost එක දාන එක වැරදි. Why? Because it will be remains unchanged between some range of activity. When a unit of product is made, an extra cost increases in its manufacturer are the variable production cost. වැඩිපුර item එකක් හදනකොට වැඩි වෙන cost එක අපි කියන variable cost එක කියලා. Because variable cost definition is what? Change in cost when you change level of activity. Fixed cost are unaffected. Fixed cost එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැත. And no extra fixed cost are incurred when output is increased. Fixed cost එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ when output is increased. So those are the important points that you need to understand when you work out price based on marginal costing. එහෙනම් marginal costing එකේ price එක decide කරනකොට fixed cost එකේ consider කරන එක වැරදි කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? Because from what level, from one level to another level, fixed cost will remains unchanged. Right? When you change production up or down, there is no impact on the fixed cost. Fixed cost remains unchanged. Look at this question. Read this. How do you figure out price, profit based on marginal costing? Question. Water and Sons make a product, the splash, which has a variable production cost of rupees 60 per unit, rupees 60 per unit, and a sale price of 100 per unit, selling price 100 per unit. At the beginning of September 2000, whatever the year, let's say 2020, there was no opening inventories and production during the there was no opening inventories and no opening inventories, and the production during the month was 20,000 units. Fixed cost for the month were rupees 300,000 for production and 150,000 for administration, selling and distribution cost. There were no variable marketing cost. There were no variable marketing cost required. Calculate the contribution and the profit for September using marginal costing principles if sales were as follows: 10,000, 15,000 and 20,000. If sales are like this, you need to calculate what? Contribution and the profit. Contribution and the profit you have to calculate. There are three levels: 10,000, 15,000 and 20,000. These are the three levels, right? So we are going to calculate what? Profit and the contribution. So first thing we need to understand sales. Sales minus variable cost is the contribution, right? Sales, selling price 100 into 10,000. First one, right? So we will work out in thousands, right? With thousands only make hadamu. Thousands, sorry. So here 1,000, 1 million. 15,000 into this 1,500 sales. which means 1.5 million, right? There you have 2000 sales. Then cost of sales, right? Cost of sales. Opening inventory, you don't have. Opening inventory, no opening inventory. No. And purchases, they have produced 20,000 units, 20,000 units into variable cost. We purchases ne variable cost, right? 60 per unit, they have produced 20,000 units. Api 60 nidi 60 into 20,000, 1,200. And we have produced 1,200, sorry 20,000. Therefore, this is sales. Selling me selling wala na produce kara me gan ape han equal ne 1,200, 1,200, right? 1,200. And we have a closing balance inventory. Closing balance 20,000 produce kara වික්ක 10,000ක් අපි මම පළවෙනි එක කරලා පෙන්නනවා 20,000 minus 10,000 into 60 නේ මේකනේ closing inventory 20,000ක් හැදුව 10,000ක් වික්ක 10,000ක් ඉතුරු 10,000ට 60 ගන්න කීයද 600 Here 20,000 you produce, 15,000 you sold, balance inventory 5,000. 5,000 into 60, 300. Here no closing inventory. 20,000 you produce, 20,000 you sold. No closing inventory. Now total variable cost. All these things are variable. Variable cost 600. You take here 1,200, 900, here 1,200. Total variable cost. Right? So, contribution. Selling price minus variable cost is a contribution. No? Sell price minus variable cost equal contribution. Here 400, right? Selling price 400. Here 600. Here 800. 800. They ask in contribution as well as profit. Contribution minus fixed cost equal the profit. Fixed cost. How much fixed cost? Fixed cost 300 for production and 150,000 for administration. 300 plus 150. 450 no? 450, 450, 450. Take the profit. Minus, which means loss. Here 150 profit, 350 profit. These are what profit figures. This is how do you calculate contribution and the profit based on what? Marginal costing approach. Now look at profit per unit. එක unit එක profit එක ගන්න බලන්න. Profit per unit. Profit per unit. 50 loss divided by 1000. Right? $50 loss. 15,000 saying කරපුවාම. Sorry, 5 no? 5. මෙතන 150 divided by 10,000. 15. Sorry. 10. 350 divided by 20,000 into 1000 because thousands no. 17.5 profit. May profit per unit. Ganda contribution per unit also. Contribution 400 divided by 10,000 into 1,000. 40. 40. Here contribution 600 divided by 40. Here also 40. What is the observation? If you calculate contribution per unit, it's equal under each and every level. Because if you sell extra 1 unit, 10,000 to 15,000, if you sell 10,000 1 unit, your contribution will be increased by 40. එක extra product එකක් විකුණනකොට වැඩි වෙන contribution එක 40 හැම වෙලෙම. ඒක equal. Because fixed cost you will not consider. එහෙනම් එක item එකක් විකුණනකොට contribution එක 40 කින් වැඩි වෙනවා. That's why it is equal. Right? මෙතනත් 15,000 1 විකුණපුවම 40 කින් වැඩි වෙනවා. Right? But profit is different at each level because you consider fixed cost, fix at any level. ඒකයි මේ බලන්න හොඳට හිතලා 10000කටත් අපිට එනවා fixed cost එක 450ක්. Right? 10,000 produce කරන්න 450,000 එනවා. 450. 15,000 produce කරත් 450. 20,000 produce කරත් 450. Fixed cost will not change. මේක වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. විකුණන ගාන වැඩි වෙන්න fixed cost එක වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. profit එක වැඩි වෙන එක සාධාරණයි නේ. ඇයි? sale එක වැඩි වෙනවා, cost එක remains unchanged. sale එක වැඩි වෙනවා, fixed cost same. එහෙනම් profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Sorry, 5, 10, 17. සාධාරණයි. හරි. Profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. ඇයි? Fixed cost will not change at any level of activity. එහෙනම් එකම fixed cost එකක් යටතේ වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් හදනකොට profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. මොකද fixed cost එක will not change at any given point. Contribution concept එක කියන්නේ ඔයා එක unit එකක් වැඩි කරනකොට වැඩි වෙන contribution එක හැම වෙලේම සමානයි. Right? That's what you need to understand here. Right? Done. Conclusion. මෙන්න conclusion මේ ගානේ. Right? I have already explained you. Look at this. Point A. The profit per unit varies at different level of sale because average fixed production cost per unit changes with the volume of output and the sales. That's why. So when you change your activity level, fixed cost per unit is changed, no? 10ට 450යි 15000ට 450යි 10000ට 20000 වලට 450යි. So per unit fixed cost will be changed. The contribution per unit is constant. Contribution per unit is constant. That will not change. At the level of output and the sale, the total contribution, which is contribution per unit multiplied by number of unit. Number of units sold increases in direct proportion to the sales volume of sales. Total contribution means per contribution into number of units sold. Since contribution per unit does not change, 40 remains unchanged. The most effective way of calculating expected profit at any level of activity and sale would be as follows. Calculate the total contribution. So appropriate method of calculating total profit is what? Here මේක නෙමෙයි හොඳම ක්‍රමේ profit එක calculate කරන්න. දැන් අපිට මෙතන profit එක ආව කොහමද? -50 -150 350. Total profit how much? 350 plus 150 minus 350 plus 150 minus 50. 450. Right? 450. මේ තියෙන්නේ -50 මෙතන හරිනේ 400 500 500 minus 50 450 මෙන්න profit එක ආපු එක. දැන් accountant traditional accountant මෙහෙම තමයි calculate කරන profit. But in marginal accounting profit මෙහෙම කරන්න කියලා කියන්නේ, right? Total contribution එක ගන්න. Right? Total contribution. Take total contribution. I'll take somewhere here. Total contribution. How do you take total contribution? Contribution per unit 40, right? If you sell, let's say 17,000 units, 40 into 17,000, 680,000 total contribution. Even you produce 17,000 or 20,000 or 15,000 or 10,000, your fixed cost remains unchanged, right? Minus fixed cost 450,000. $230,000. This is the profit. This is the appropriate way of calculating what? Profit. Right? Rather than going through this method. Calculate total contribution and minus what? Fixed cost. Right? Done. Cost plus pricing. Right? Cost plus pricing. Then බලමු cost plus pricing. Cost plus pricing method. Cost plus pricing means that desired profit margin is added, desired expected profit margin is added to total cost to arrive at the selling price. Desired margin price add to cost to derive what? Desired selling price. The final price quote will of course be affected by what the competitor charge and what customer will be willing to pay. The final quarter price will be depends on the competition in the market and ability to pay by the customer. There are a few questions. Shall we try this? Right? Fine. Product CT is unit cost 150. Selling price is set based on margin 20%. The previous concept that we have discussed. Right? Margin of 20%. Right? Cost plus. So anyway, my formula is what? Price, cost of sales, profit. This is my formula. I am not deviating this formula. Margin 20%. Mogak kunat kaman never 20% make. That I know. Right? Selling price is set based on margin of 20. Margin of 20. Margin කියපු ගමන් මගේ බේස් එක මෙන්න 100. මේක 80 කියලා මම දන්නවා දෙන්න. Apply numbers now. The total unit cost 150. 150 unit cost එක. 150. එහෙනම් cost එක කීයද? 150 divided by 80 into 20. 37.5. 187.5 is the selling price. Question number 2. Practice questions, right? Product HM unit cost 650 markup 20. Then kiya markup 20 lu. Markup kiyapu gamam, this is margin. Then markup avilla karaliyata. Then මොකක්ද දන්නවනේ? Markup නම් base is what? Cost of sales 100 කියලා කියන්නේ අපිනේ. 100. අනිත් දෙක ඉතින් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. 20%. මේක කොහොමද 20%? This is 120. දැන් අපිට දීලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද? Cost 650 ලු. Again cost එක 650. එහෙනම් 650 කියන්නේ 100. I want 20. 33. Right? Sorry. 650 is the cost. $650, yeah, not 165. $130 plus 650, 780. Selling price. Read question number 3. Product JT selling price 935, markup 100, markup 10%. Again markup. Markup කියපු ගමන් දන්නවනේ මමනේ 100. එහෙනම් ඉතින් මේක කීයද? 10 නේ 10%. 110. මට දීලා තියෙන්නේ selling price 935. 935. එහෙනම් 935 is my base. Not base, cost of sales is my base, but they have given 935. 935 equal 110. I need 10. $85 into 100. Sorry, 935 minus 85. 815. 850. So that's how I calculate cost plus pricing. 3 examples. Simple. Full cost pricing. Full cost pricing means absorption costing basically. Right? Marginal cost එක අනිත් පැත්ත. Full cost කියන්නේ absorption costing, which means you take fixed cost also into account. Full cost, සම්පූර්ණ cost එක. හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න examiner can test absorption costing කියලාත් අහන්න පුළුවන්. Full cost කියලා අහන්නත් පුළුවන්. Both are same. Absorption costing means you absorb fixed cost into unit of product. Fixed cost කියන්නේ full cost කියන්නේ ඒකම තමයි. Right? In full cost plus pricing, the selling price is determined by calculating the full cost of the product, which means absorption costing, by adding a percentage of markup for profit. By adding, then adding percentage of markup for the cost. So full cost එකට add කරන percentage of margin markup, not margin, full cost එකට including fixed cost. You add some markup, then do decide the profit. Most important criticism of full cost plus pricing is that it fails to recognize that since sales demand may be determined by the selling price, they have a profit maximizing combination of price and the demand. People are not happy with this because full cost pricing is that fail. මේ full cost එක fail එක වෙනවා මොකක්ද? To recognize since the demand may be determined by the price. ඔයගේ demand එක determine වෙන price එක මත. Right? There will be profit maximizing combination of price and the demand. Profit එක maximize කරන්න you have to put price demand equation into picture. Based on the demand you can set the price. Right? But that option you will be ignoring if you decide price based on full cost approach. You calculate full cost and keep some desired margin. එතකොට I think එනවා price එකක් ඒක තමයි විකුණන්නේ. You ignore market demand, market condition. Economic factors you ignore. That is the criticism for this. The full cost may be a full cost absorption, fully absorbed production cost only, or may include some absorb administration and selling and distribution overhead also. Sometimes full cost means you absorb only fixed production overhead. Sometimes you absorb some other administrative and selling and distribution overhead also, fixed overhead also. So that you can decide management accountant. That's a question. Look at this question. Read this. A business has begun to produce a new product. You have started the business to produce new product. Product X, for which the following estimate have been made. Direct material 270, direct labor 4 hours into 4 hours at 50 per hour 200, variable production overhead, machine half an hour at 60 per hour 30, altogether total cost how much? 500. Production fixed overhead are budgeted at production fixed overhead budgeted at 3 million per month, and because of the shortage of available machinery capacity, the company will be restricted to 10,000 hours of machine time per month. 10,000 hours of machine time per month. The absorption rate will be a direct labor rate. However, and budgeted direct labor hours are 25,000 per month. Budget labor hours 25,000 per month. It is estimated that the company could obtain minimum contribution of contribution of 100 per machine hour on producing items other than product X. Items other than product X. The direct cost estimate are not certain as to material usage rate and direct labor productivity, and it is recognized that estimate of direct material and labor cost may be subject to error of 15% plus or minus. Machine time estimate are similarly subject to error of 10% plus or minus. The company wishes to make 20% on profit on full cost production, production cost from product X. Ascertain full cost plus base price. Full cost plus base price. Okay, right. There are two things. You have to consider errors and the opportunity cost here, right? You have to consider opportunity cost as well as errors that you can make. Therefore, first we will calculate excluding opportunity cost and errors. We will exclude opportunity cost and errors and try to do this calculation, right? Fine. If you ignore opportunity cost and errors, what is your total cost? Direct material 270, direct material, direct labor 200, they have given direct labor, and variable production overhead 30, 30, right? 30. They have given these numbers, and fixed production overhead. Fixed production overhead, full cost, no? You have to absorb that. Fixed production overhead. Fixed production overhead, they said 3 million per month. 3 million per month because of the shortage of the machine available, shortage of the available machine capacity. The company will be restricted to hours 10,000 hours of machine time per month. 10,000 hours of machine time per month, that is limiting factor. The absorption rate will be direct labor. However, the budgeted labor 25,000 per month. Budget labor hours how much? 25,000. 3 million divide by 25,000 per hour cost. Per hour fixed cost will come here. Eka payaka fixed production cost, because 25,000 is absorption figure. 25,000. Ena eka product ekata hours kiyak yanawada? Labor hours 4 labor hours. Eka product ekata api roni 4 hours. 3 million divided by 25,000 into 4. I believe you have good idea about what? Good idea about absorption costing and marginal costing. Api balana giye par webinar series එක බලලා ඉගෙන ගන්න. Fixed production overhead absorb කරන්නේ direct labor base කරගෙන. 3 million is the direct labor. Fixed overhead production overhead cost එක. එන එක පැයකට absorb කරනවා මෙච්චරක් within bracket figure. එක product එකට පැය 4ක් ඕනේ. Total figure is this. How much? 480 plus 30 plus 200 plus 270. 980. This is total cost, full cost. Full cost. markup. Cost එකෙන් කොච්චරද markup එක තියාගන්නේ? 20% කියලා ගාන අපිට දීලා තියෙනවා. 20%. එහෙනම් 980 into 20%. 196. $784 profit. Sorry. Profit is this much. Finally, we want actually price, right? Price. Then cost plus profit, no price. 980. 1179. So this is what? Price. Now if you consider include opportunity cost and errors, will include opportunity cost and errors? Include opportunity cost and errors. Impact of this, if you inbuilt, right? How these numbers will change? Let's try. Full cost. කීයද වාගේ full cost එක? 980, right? 980 full cost. $980 full cost. Now how do you calculate opportunity cost? That's the opportunity cost. මොකද opportunity cost එක? බලන්න හොඳට කියවලා. It is estimated that the company could obtain minimum contribution of 100. Company ට පුළුවන් minimum contribution එක earn කරන 100 per machine hour. Per machine hour on producing item other than product X. Product X එක අමතක කරොත් මේ product X එක මේක නැතුව වෙන product එකක් produce කරොත් other than product X. අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් machine hours we have here machine capacity. The company will be restricted to 10,000 machine hours. 10,000 machine hours තියෙන්නේ. අපි product X එක හැදුවේ නැත්තම් here 10,000 you can minimum of 100 contribution per machine hour on producing item other than product X. Contribution එක 100 earn කරන්න පුළුවන් other than product X using machine hours. එහෙනම් අපි X හැදුවොත් මේ contribution එක නැති වෙනවනේ. Other than product X you can earn this much of contribution. If you produce product X this will be lost. මේකට නැති වෙනවා. To produce product X you need half an hour. පැය භාගයක් වාට වෙන machine hour. පැය භාගයක් ඕන වෙනවා එක product එකක් හදන්න X වලින්. ඔයා හැදුවොත් contribution එක 50ක් නැති වෙනවා. ඔයා හදන හැම product X එකකටම අහිමි වෙනවා වෙන product එකක් හදලා ගන්න තියෙන contribution එකක්. ඔයා X හැදුවේ නැත්තම් වෙන product එකකින් contribution එක ගන්න පුළුවන් 50. දැන් තේරෙනවනේ? Opportunity cost. Limiting factor analysis -50. 930. 930. Right? Sorry. You have to add this, sorry. Because cost will be increased now. This is opportunity cost. Add 980 plus 50. 1030. Cost, revised cost. Right? Revised cost. Then profit how much? 20%. 1030 into 20%. 26. Price plus 1236. So this is the total selling price, not for price, yeah. Now if you accommodate, right? If you accommodate what? No opportunity cost, but including errors. No opportunity cost. අපි opportunity cost විතරයි මෙතන දැම්මේ. Now no opportunity cost, but errors is there. Errors are there. No opportunity cost, but errors there. But error is there. Include. Right? Error එක include කරන්න. Opportunity cost එකක් නේ error එකක් තියෙනවා දැන්. Right. අපිට ඒතර මෙතන full cost එකෙන් පටන් ගන්න බෑ. මොකද error එක අදාළ වෙන direct labor direct material වලටත් එක්ක. Direct material 270, direct labor 200, direct labor 200. Right? කීයද 470. දැන් error එක බලන්න කීවලා. මොකද error කියන්නේ? The direct cost estimate are not certain as to material usage rate and direct labor productivity, and it is recognized that the estimate of direct material and direct labor cost may be subject to errors of 15% plus and minus. මේක error එකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන් plus and minus. Possible error. error එක අපි include කරමු. error එකෙන් cost එකක් එන්න පුළුවන් 470 into කීයද? 470 into 15%. 15% error එකක්. වැඩිපුර යන්න පුළුවන් ඒ හින්දානේ. 470 into 15%. 70.5 error හින්දා. Right? Then variable production overhead. කීයද? 30. 30 තියෙනවා. Right? ඒකෙත් error එකක් තියෙනවා. මොකක්ද error එක? Variable production overhead you absorb based on machine hours. Machine hours වලට error. Machine time estimate are similarly subject to 10% variation. එහෙනම් එතන 10% add කරන්න. 10%. 13 to 10%. මොකද variable production overhead absorb කරන්නේ half an hour into at 60. පැය භාගයට 60 ගන්න. එහෙනම් මෙතන 30ක් cost එක ගිහලා තියෙන. ඒ කියන්නේ 10%. 3 නේ. 3. මෙන්න errors. Possible errors suggest කරාට පස්සේ. කීයද cost එක? 470 plus 470 plus 70.5 plus 30 plus 3. Sorry. 470 plus 70.5 plus 30 plus 3. 573.5 fixed cost. Fixed cost how much? 480 that we have calculated here. 480 error එකක් එතනක් තියෙනවානේ. Because that will be absorbed using direct labor. මේ 25,000. එතන direct labor 15% error එකක් තියෙනවා. 480 into 15% then. 72. This is the full cost. Right? Plus 480 plus 573.5. 1,125.5. This is the full cost. At the percentage profit. ඉද මදින මම මේ ලියන්නවට. At the profit 20%. මේකෙන් 20% ගන්න. 225.1. මේක profit එක. 20% profit on this. I don't have space, that's why. Yeah. Now the price. $1,350.6 in a price. Right? No opportunity cost, but possible errors are there. Now you can calculate including opportunity cost and the errors. Allowance, both. Right? එකත් උනට අග්ගල හදමු. Including opportunity cost and errors both. Right? Including opportunity cost and errors both. බලන්න කොහොමද එන්නේ කියලා. Right. Possible errors suggest කරලා පස්සේ total cost එක කීයද ආවේ? Possible errors. Cost with errors. 1,125.5. With errors only 1,225. Right? Opportunity cost. කොහොමද opportunity cost එකද මේ? opportunity cost එක නැති වෙනවලු 100 contribution එක. මොකෙන්ද? පැය භාගයකින්. right? Into half 50 ඒක direct labor නේ. direct labor නේ. sorry, machine hours 50 නැති. machine hours subject to 10% error. 10% error. මෙතන 15 opportunity cost එක error එක 50 into 10% 5. මෙන්න total cost එක 1025 plus 55 1125.55. sorry, $1,180.5. Profit 236.1, 20%. Total price 1,416.6. තේරුණා නේද? මෙන්න error එකත් එක්ක total cost එක opportunity cost එක 50 අපි දන්නවා. හැබැයි ඒක calculate කරන්න මොකටද? machine hours subject to 10% error වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකේ පහ cost එකක් තියෙනවා. total cost එක මෙන්න profit එක 236, 20% of this, and selling price is this much. So this is comprehensive question on full cost approach. So now you have fair understanding about pricing. How do you keep prices, right? Prices. It can be markup and margin. Margin means on sales, markup means on cost. When you put prices on cost, marginal costing and absorption costing will come to the picture. Marginal costing price කොහොමද decide කරන්නේ? profit එක ගන්න. variable, calculate the contribution per unit, multiply contribution per unit into number of units sold and deduct total fixed cost, because fixed cost will not change at any point. Full costing wala like this. Take the full cost and keep the markup and calculate the profit. But there can be adjustments like this, opportunity cost and errors. Opportunity cost එක කියන්නේ යමක් කිරීම නිසා කැප කරන ඊළඟ හොඳම විකල්පේ වටිනාකම. Here, because of you produce product X, you lost 100%, 100 rupee contribution from other product into number of hours. This opportunity cost. අපි ඒවා කතා කරා ගිය session එක බලන්න. right? So that's all about what? Pricing. Will meet all of you with another important session next day. Thank you.